Welcome back to another video. As you saw from the thumbnail, I'll be debunking the partner again, as not only was this requested, but it's usually convenient for me since people, including him, still depend on this shitty video tool today for debunking Fairytail. Anyway, enough about that, let's get on to the debunk.
To start off, let's talk about the out-of-versal meta, which is based upon Anna saying that the space between time is more like a concept and nothing can exist in there. And the fairy tale scalers try stretching this statement by saying that the space between time is the concept of space-time, making very hard Zeref and Agnologia out-of-versal. But this isn't actually true, because Anna made a hypothesis, aka the time rift being more like a concept, even though she explains that it is time trying to repair itself because of people time traveling.
First thing is that this is not how you argue for the space between time being out-of-versal, but I'll be indulging it anyway since this debunk was still asked. Anna making her hypothesis makes it more likely to affirm that the SPT is actually conceptual in nature if you understand basic narrative induction, unless you presume that the component was indeed just to serve zero purpose to the fictional sense, which is obviously less likely. And even then, Anna's hypothesis doesn't need to be mutually exclusive from what she states later, because first of all, this is a mistranslation, with the correct translation actually aligning with Anna's statement better, and second of all, taking this statement into account concedes to the space between time being conceptual in nature, as it's atemporal, which adds further consistency to the already likely hypothesis being true. So both translations still cohere with the out-of-versal argument in terms of first establishing that this SPT is like truly conceptual in nature.
But anyway, this hypothesis of Anna was proven wrong when Ichiya and her pushed Agnologia into the time rift along with them, and all three of them survived, and Agnologia fused with the time rift.
Why does Agnologia overpowering the time rift make it wrong for the time rift being conceptual in nature? Generally, what is the justification for that? It's almost like you're presupposing Agnologia can't be that strong, therefore the SPT isn't this and that. And if that's your argument, then like, just completely shit. Even if it isn't your argument, then that would most likely mean that you're striving for the argument that's like a hasty generalization and fallacy of composition, as you're trying to link her being wrong about Agnologia's capabilities with her being wrong on the structure of the space between time.
Not only that, but Anna herself even stated that she made an error in her analysis, and she didn't think that Agnologia could eat the time rift.
Okay, so all you've established thus far is that she was wrong about what Agnologia could and could not do. Agnologia's capabilities and the structure of the SPT are two distinct things, with it being like incoherent if you were trying to make them like correspond together or some shit. What would at least be coherent was if you were trying to like attend to the structure itself, like using how it's portrayed to say that it isn't conceptual in nature or out-of-versal, etc., etc. But even that argument is shit, although at least it's better than your fallacious arguments you're currently committing.
Which means she was wrong since, as she stated, that no one can survive in the time rift, yet 3 people were able to survive in it, and 2 of the 3 characters are fodder, weak-ass people.
It was really just Agnologia. If it wasn't for Agnologia, then Ichiya and Anna would have both been erased, as Agnologia consumed the dimension, as you just pointed out.
So, since Anna is wrong, then she becomes less reliable on the subject of the time rift, at what it truly is.
You're trying so hard to link it together, it's not almost funny. Yes, I agree that Anna is wrong about Agnologia's capabilities, therefore be less likely to take a word as true when she comments and stuff in reference to Agnologia's capabilities, like if she were to say that this character can beat Agnologia. Given how she is the source of said information with the prior data established, it would make it less likely for what she's saying to actually be true. But again, as I've been stating, that only applies to Agnologia's capabilities, unless you're being fallacious. Matter of fact, you're the one that's sitting that Fairytale captured planetary, so why can you not bring actual evidence of her comments in regards to the structure of the SPT actually being contradicted?
So, this means that Agnologia and Zeref are not out-of-versal beings, even if they absorbed the concept of time and space. That doesn't make you outer either, only if they transcended the concept of space and time.
You can transcend something as a result of having the capabilities to absorb it, maintain its power, and withstand its power. Do you know basic inference?
Would they be on that level? Now then, speaking about space and time, let's get into the next argument, which is the universal plus / 4D to 5D argument, which, to summarize the argument, it goes as follows. The special Icterion canon is stated to have destructive power that transcends space-time, which is 4 to 5D, and how Fairy Heart Zeref is stated to be able to control all of space-time, making him 4 to 5D. The problem with this is that even after Agnologia absorbed the time rift, he stated that his power will grow to surpass space and time.
Try using the right fucking translation next time, it won't kill you, I promise. Also, it's more parsimonious to uphold this translation given the events that occurred that were already dictated being more consistent, like Agnologia consuming and recreating an entire dimension, or Agnologia breaking the fabric of space with a simple punch.
Which the same canon also has a statement that says it has country-destroying power, and we see its blast radius being the size of a country, which would contradict it having 5D destructive power. Keyword, destructive power. And
you're just trying to use any interpretation that contradicts the fictional imposed narrative. The statement at hand is magic of destruction that transcends space and time. We know that most of magics in fairy tale are destructive magics, although the reason why Theron is specifically emphasized on that destructive nominal is due to its country-level destructive capacity. That does not need to be mutually exclusive from the fact that it transcends space and time, as you can have 5D AP and country-level DC. Magic of destruction would simply be in context to its country-level destruction capacity, given the emphasis, with magic that transcends space and time being in context to its AP, which is also consistent across Machinima series. I don't know why I think it's even consistent to affirm a contradiction existing within the same panel.
It's also inconsistent seeing how Zeref was bragging about this power that can manipulate time and then later manipulate space-time with the Time Rift, which granted Agnologia space-time magic. All that was stated to be impressive, and Natsu was shocked when he saw that power. But you are trying to tell me that Natsu and the others are 5D or 4D in like episode 50 of Fairy Tail, or did everybody just get weaker throughout the series?
Ethereum actually being 5D would just add consistency to Zeref and Agnolodia's powers working on the conceptual level and actually being out of Earth. So no, there's no contradiction in affirming that Ethereum is 5D.
Also, notice that Fairy God Zeref and Agnologia are not universal because you can argue that they are just using space-time abilities / hacks.
Okay, then provide some fucking evidence for them not scaling to their magic.
Also, when Agnologia states he is going to destroy the world and he is attacking the planet, and how they refer world to planet or society, this means that even Time Rift Agnologia didn't have the power to one-shot society or the planet. Rather, he had to travel country to country to destroy said country, meaning it's questionable for this Agnologia for being planetary or large planetary.
I already debunked this shitty argument in my other video debunking one another of his dumbass videos.
But as for Zeref resetting the world with the Time Rift, this could easily just be referring to the time of the planet and not their entire universe, since time flows differently or similarly from planet to planet. In fact, time flows differently across the universe.
The only thing you're correct about is about time being different everywhere in the universe. Although given how a planetary construct aren't independent timelines that encompass the linear progression of a being's existence, then a time reset that erases the fundamental history, aka future, past, and present of a being's ontological state wouldn't simply be limited to that of a planetary scope, planetary structure for that matter.
And it doesn't even matter because he is using a hack's ability and not raw power.
This is your second time stating this bullshit and you haven't provided proof for it being the case on either occasions.
And since we are on the topic of time, let's talk about the multiversal mirror. The multiversal mirror is based on Altair saying that she creates parallel universes, which is clearly a figure of speech because she has time magic and she uses a tool on her arm to make these orbs that represent a possible future, thus calling it a parallel universe. Also, take note that Altair died after turning back time by 1 minute.
Reading must honestly be your worst enemy at this point. The spell itself just came with a huge cost, which was her lifespan, hence why it was harder for her to do that than create infinite universes, as one simply is like just dependent on the level of energy output she can withstand and maintain, whereas the other is both dependent on her level of energy output and her lifespan, to the point where it turns into a concept that's imprisoned by time. So like no, huge cost doesn't equal a debunk to high stats.
I also want to point out that Selene isn't hyperversal or higher dimensional just because it was stated by the guy who got one-shotted by Selene that her power transcends dimensions, or he wants to gain the power that transcends dimensions, which you can easily interpret that he is talking about how she can travel between dimensions, rather than taking his word as hyper-literal.
Or, transcending dimensions could simply be in reference to both a traversing and superior sense, as we literally see Selene override the hyperspatial borders that separate parallel universes in base, which you obviously just ignored. Anyway, that's it for now. This did not even serve as a little prep before I debate and absolutely slam his ass. Anyway, till next time.